When I was living with my then partner in the suburbs, there was a time period of about 6 months where we didn't own a car and we couldn't afford one at this point in time. So we would either walk, get the bus, or get the train everywhere. One afternoon, I was walking with my partner to the train station because he had work that evening and he wanted my company on the walk. There was a street that we would follow just past the closest bus stop, and halfway up the street was a big gum tree with a small property behind it, with a barbed wire fence out the front. In this gum tree was a willy wagtail, a small black and white bird that has a reputation for being very territorial. But most of the time, willy wagtails also had a reputation for being friendly, but not this one, as it was probably nesting and warning off any threats it may have thought it had. The bird would swoop at us and make a weird little clicking sound as it would come close to our heads. It would do it once or twice, and we would be far enough away from the tree and it wouldn't feel threatened anymore, and it would leave us alone. Not that we were threatening it, we were just walking by. Although, as I would walk back home from the train station, it would swoop me again, repeating what it had done last time. I was walking on the opposite side of the road as well, and it still swooped me. One thing I did notice was it didn't swoop us at night time, just during the day. It lasted for a few months and then it stopped. One day, my partner and I decided to walk into town. It was a nice spring day and it wasn't going to cost us anything just to walk. It was about a 20-minute walk, so it wasn't too far. We would walk past the bushland, a park, and over a creek, past more bushland, and then we would walk past the high school just before getting into town. Now the high school had a big oval just out the front of it, backing off from the road, with a few large trees lining the fence. As we were walking along at this part of the walk, I see a shadow on the path of a bird flying down at our heads. It squawked at us and flew away. We turned to see it was a magpie, and it was spring, so it was nesting, and it felt threatened by us walking past, and it was not happy. We started to walk faster to get away from the magpie in case it was to come back, which it did, but this time it swooped at my head, calling out, and it literally took my cap off my head and flew away with it. I could not believe what had just happened. I could see my cap in its mouth as it was flying away. My partner just laughed his head off at me. I couldn't help but laugh either. Maybe the magpie wanted my cap for its nest, who knows. We took the bus home from town that day, and we never experienced another magpie swooping since then. One day, my partner and I were living at a different location at this point, and we lived just up the road from a lake. There was a walking and bike riding path that would go right around the lake, so we would go for walks to get some exercise and do some sightseeing. The pathway would mostly follow the lake along the waterline, but there was a part that would duck into the bushland for about 10 minutes into the walk. We could hear the sounds of noisy miners up ahead. That was never really a good thing, because they would get in big groups, swoop and attack other birds and animals and even humans. This was even when they weren't nesting. As we got closer, the noise was getting louder. We could see them all up in a tree, attacking a brush-tailed possum. It was in the middle of the day. Possums normally only come out at night time. There was so many in the flock, they probably woke the possum up and coaxed it out of the tree. About 15 of these noisy miners against one possum, the poor thing. There really wasn't much we could do, as it was fairly high up in the gum trees, so we kept walking. We walked for about half an hour and decided to turn around and head back the way we came. When we come back to the bushland part of the walk, the noisy miners were gone. I guess they gave up fighting the possum. With the amount of noisy miners, I'm surprised they didn't attack us.